So today we're going to be talking about our favorite and least favorite war movies in honor of Veterans Day coming up this weekend. Jim, if that is your real name, why don't you start us off? Give me your top. Give me your best.
Well, Rory, my best war movie. I think it's just cliche, straight up cliche, but I'm gonna have to go with Saving Private Ryan. And one of the reasons it's one of my favorites, aside from they show it in every social studies movie or in every social studies class ever. It's like, what did D-Day look like? And then they show the scene for the opening scene of Saving Private Ryan. And so that's fantastic, of course. But I also loved that it really tried to capture kind of this concept of sacrifice as characters risk their lives for the sake of this one guy. I really like the emotion that's carried behind it and that kind of message of live for those who have fallen kind of thing.
That's good. That's good. Yeah, I like that's one of my top favorites. I mean, I know you said it's cliche, but cliche doesn't necessarily mean bad.
It's true.
It's on point, and everybody knows it. It's ubiquitous. Yeah, no, I'm with you on that one.
All right, Rory, what's your top?
All right, it's an oldie but a goodie. A Bridge Too Far, the 1977 one, because it has one of the most star-studded casts you could hope for. You had Anthony Hopkins, you had what's his name, Dirk Burgode, who was, I guess, pretty controversial in how he was playing that lieutenant general. Sean Connery was in it, so you can't say it's bad if Sean Connery's in it.
It's true,
right? Gene Hackman, Robert Redford, a very young Robert Redford. So imagine him working with all these top tier guys. And it's all about the European theater, Operation Market Garden, and how the war in Europe's looking on the up and up. It's looking good. And the Brits and the Americans want to build a highway from the Netherlands to Germany to just literally railroad in and end the war, and how much more difficult it really was. And I think it's just great seeing the two different armies working together, and like the communication difference, and like who's got what priorities. So it just highlights all these like true to life things that when personalities get involved, things can get kind of dicey. But that's my top.
Good choice. Thank
you.
Let's
go to the bottom.
Yeah, you go.
All right, I'll go. This one's tight.
You, me.
Yeah, okay. So I'm going to totally undermine whatever Scott and Dan have planned, because I'm going to give a couple honorable mentions in here. Troy with Brad Pitt.
Mm-hmm.
The old Hellenic Wars. Yeah. Terrible. Acting in that movie, the graphics in that movie, everything's bad. In the Army Now with Pauly Shore. Also terrible. I guess you could consider it a war movie, right? They're at war in that movie.
Yeah. I hear you.
But the worst has to be Alexander with Colin Farrell, because nothing about that movie is good. The acting, the costumes, the soundtrack, the script, there's nothing. It's like everybody just phoned it in that day and just had to get a movie out. I think it was around the same, just after or just before Troy came out. So that was the motif in Hollywood at the time.
Yeah.
Cannot abide.
War Greek hero kind of thing, and just didn't land.
Yeah.
It's not.
The original Clash of the Titans was better than that.
It's true. The newer one. Well, we'll just leave it at that.
All right, Jim, give me your bottom. Give me your lowest.
Right, my bottom. I'm gonna kind of break the mold a bit.
All right.
Because I don't think this is a bad movie in and of itself, but I think it is a bad war movie. Does that make sense?
Just like how Die Hard is a bad Christmas movie.
Or a great Christmas movie. I mean,
or
take your pick. Yeah. But yes, it is in fact a Christmas movie. But anyways, so I'm going to say Inglourious Bastards.
That's controversial.
Yeah. And it's because the movie's entertaining, but it's just so out there that it's like, is it even a war movie, or is it just like, I don't know what it is.
Cinema, Jim. It's called cinema.
I guess that's what it is. Yeah, right. As I said, interesting movie, funny, fun to watch. But if you're like, I want to watch a war movie, I wouldn't recommend that one. I wouldn't.
Yeah. Wasn't really a whole lot of warring going on in that movie. It was mostly drama, right?
Well, mostly comedy.
Yeah. Well, what's comedy but drama plus time?
Right. But yeah, it's. I mean, you kind of get a little bit of a feel for this espionage thing that's going in and special forces, like, in this undercurrent of we're gonna kill Hitler, but like just like in the most ridiculous manner possible, and just like blood and guts everywhere, and it's just like let's the crank it to 11 is basically kind of just the motif for this movie. It's
the Spinal Tap of war movies. The Spinal Tap of war movies, yeah.
It's exactly what it is.
Excellent. Very good choice. I'm sure nobody's going to fight you on that at all.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. And just remember, everybody, it's okay to be wrong sometimes.
It's true. So, Rory, it's okay.
makes me feel a modicum better.
All right. And so soon, Scott and Dan are going to be sharing their highs and lows next, and hopefully Rory didn't steal all of them. Thanks, guys.
I hope I did. All right. Bye.
Bye.
All right. So war movies, I've got a handful. I'll get to my top in just a second, but I've got a list. It includes Saving Private Ryan, The Guns of Navarone. Now, A Bridge Too Far, fantastic movie, and I used to have it on 2 VHS cassettes that my wife and I have tried to watch multiple times, but she's fallen asleep every time. But it's a fantastic movie with a whole cast of amazing actors. But if I had to pick top, and I don't know if this would be number one, but right now I'm really in love with 1917. It is a Sam Mendes movie, filmed to look like one continuous take that builds and builds and builds the intensity and the suspense that finally goes through ebbs and flows. But at the end, there's a moment where I don't want to give it away, but there's a moment where his mission comes to a head and then it feels like all is lost. I absolutely love 1917, the cinematography, the scope, the grittiness, the closeness of the camera, and the emotions of the actors. It's a fantastic movie. Very simple in its plot, very simple in its casting, in its feeling, but it really drives home the depth, the scope of war, and the feeling of hopelessness and of loss and urgency throughout. So 1917 would be my pick for at least right now.